What's up guys, Graz back with another video. And what I'd like to start doing on my channel is these weekly gaming fix videos, just to get all the latest news on the video industry. The game news moves really quickly, so I thought I would just do like a weekly video with all the latest and greatest news from Xbox to Microsoft to obviously PlayStation on the PS5 and to the Switch as well, the Nintendo Switch. If you guys find it interesting as well to include PC information as well, I would more than likely do that. So on the first piece of news, guys, the first thing I want to share with you guys is the Bethesda deal. So the Xbox ecosystem, Xbox, Microsoft has just landed a deal and it's official, it's gone through. It's been processed for $7.5 billion. Yes, $7.5 billion Microsoft has just purchased Bethesda Studios. So Bethesda Studios is actually part of the ZeniMax Media Group. So the ZeniMax Media Group has different studios that are part of it. We are talking about Alpha Dog Games. We are talking about Arcane Studios. We are obviously talking about Bethesda Softworks. We are talking about id Software, Machine Games, Roundhouse Studios, Tango Gameworks, and ZeniMax Online Studios. All these major publishers are now owned by Microsoft. And when I say are owned by Microsoft, we are also talking not just the games. The games is one part of it. They also own the intellectual property, right? So all the game engines, all these super talented game designers are all part of Microsoft. What excites me the most, yeah, it's cool. We are obviously, if you have Game Pass, you can have access to all these games. But there's two things that excite me. One, the exclusives, right? So actually, Phil Spencer came out and said what he's going to do when it comes to exclusives. So anything having to do with being under contract. So I don't know if you guys know, but Deathloop, which is a PS5 exclusive, is being made by Arcane Studios. Arcane Studios is part of the Bethesda, now owned by Xbox. Isn't that crazy? Deathloop is owned by Microsoft, and due to contracts, they will not be able to release it right now on their generation of console. It's a PS5 exclusive, so that's pretty crazy. But apart from, if there's contracts that are in place, so if there are contracts that are in place, obviously there's nothing that can be done. But Phil Spencer, I feel like he made it pretty clear when there was that podcast on the internet with all the major players. So obviously you had Phil Spencer there from Microsoft, and you had a couple guys there from Bethesda and different studios. So he made it pretty clear that I think the games are going to stay exclusive to Xbox. If you want to play these games moving forward, apart from the ones that are under contract, well, guess what? You're going to have to get Game Pass. So what are the games right now that are included inside that ecosystem, inside that Bethesda ecosystem? So you have all the Dishonored series, so Dishonored Definite Edition and 2. You also have all the Doom games. Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 64, and of course Doom Eternal, which I keep talking about this game. If you guys haven't played Doom Eternal, you need to go out and try this game. It is freaking amazing. If you have an Xbox Series X, the upped graphics just take it to the next level. So Doom Eternal is also part of that ecosystem. What else do we have? We have all the Elder Scrolls games. So we're talking about Morrowind, we're talking about Oblivion, we're talking about Skyrim, and of course online. So the Elder Scrolls Online is also part of that. Another game that's part of that ecosystem is The Evil Within. And then you also have the Fallout series. So Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Fallout New Vegas are part of that as well. At the finish, you do get Prey, you do get the Rage games, and the Wolfenstein series as well. So Wolfenstein, the New Order, the Old Blood, and the Young Blood are all coming. Or not even all coming, they are. If you guys have Microsoft Game Pass, all these games, there are 20 games right now that are free to download and play. So leave some comments, guys, about this. What do you guys think about this whole purchase of Microsoft with Bethesda Studios? Does it change your perception of Microsoft? Do you think that Microsoft is doing the right choice with keeping the game exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem? If you're an Xbox fan, sorry, if you're a PlayStation fan, will this incite you to switch over to Xbox? Or not switch over, but let's say get an Xbox as well. So really interesting times, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what Bethesda does in the future. So that's the first piece of news, guys. Really excited. Second piece of news I want to discuss with you guys is the rumor of a PS5 Pro or a PS5 Slim. So it would make sense in terms of dates. You know, the date that is going around is 2023. So the PS5 launched in 2020. 3 years later, obviously, would be 2023. It sort of follows what the PS3 did and also follows what the PS4 did. So the PS3 launched in 2006, and then we had a follow-up PS3 Slim that came out in 2009, 3 years later. The PS4 launched in 2013, and guess what? 3 years later, we had a PS4 Slim. Not only did we get a PS4 Slim, we also got a PS4 Pro. So that's why I'm saying there's rumors about a PS5 Slim or a PS5 Pro coming out sometime in 2023. And how do you take, a lot of people are complaining about the size of the PS5, saying that it's really, really big. Well, right now, the chipset is running on a 7nm node, so 7nm architecture, which is a bigger chip, which obviously creates a lot of heat. And when you have a lot of heat, you have to deal with different types of cooling solutions to keep these systems cool. So we all know that the PlayStation used liquid metal. That was one way. And if you guys see the teardown video, you're going to notice that they used a humongous heat sink as well. That sort of works like a vapor chamber to make sure to keep these consoles cool. But the rumor has it that in 2023, the PlayStation is going to be running on a 5nm node. 5nm node, making it smaller, so less heat, less power, so you're able to make your consoles smaller. The other thing about the rumored PS5 Pro is that it's going to be running, as patents have been shown in the summer of 2020, is that there's a possibility that the new PS5 Pro will be running with dual GPU. That's crazy. So again, these are all rumors, but there is a patent out there that does show that the PS5 Pro will be running a dual GPU. So make some comments, guys. What do you guys think? Are you guys waiting out? I know already it's pretty difficult to find these consoles. It's not that easy, but are you going to be waiting out for the PS5 Slim? Are you waiting out for the PS5 Pro? You know, if we base ourselves on what happened in the past, 3 years from now makes sense for a revision to come out. And maybe Xbox has been more on the low key about this, but I'm thinking why Xbox hasn't been saying anything is because right off the bat, this system here has 12 teraflops versus 10 teraflops on the PlayStation 5. So the power differential, Xbox is leading. Obviously, it's way too early to say in this console generation. We're going to see how games come out. But right now, the Xbox has the power advantage. So maybe that's why PlayStation wants to play a little bit of catch up and might want to have a PS5 Pro come out in 3 years from now. So that's another piece of news. Leave some comments about that. 3 more things, guys. The next one, PSVR 2. Yes, PSVR 2 has been officially announced. You guys know this console. I'm a big VR fan. I love my PlayStation VR. I don't think that this tech is old. I really like it. You know, I like what game studios, they started to come out with a couple PS5 patches to upgrade some graphics. But it's officially announced. PSVR 2 is in the works. They finally confirmed it, and it's something that will come out in the near future. Probably not 2021, but a VR 2 is probably gonna come out sometime in 2022. So they, Sony confirmed its commitment to virtual reality and announcing that, they're gonna change everything on the technology. So they're gonna support higher resolutions. I don't know if you guys know, but the PSVR 1 original resolution runs at 1080p per eye. It's not the greatest. I mean, you got something like the Valve Index, you got something like the Oculus Rift that just run higher resolutions. So it's going to be nice to see this system here run with higher resolutions. The other thing they are looking to change is a wider field of view. Yes, finally. So the field of view inside the PSVR 1, I'm going to call it the version 1, is 110 degrees. It's not huge. This is about 90 degrees. Add another 5 degrees. This is about your field of view. So I'd be really, really curious to see how big the field of view is finally going to get, and obviously improved tracking input. So what does that mean? Very simple. Well, we can guess that and we've seen patents, that there are going to be new controllers that come out. I'm guessing that are going to mimic a little bit what the Valve Index has, or the Oculus Rift, some handheld controllers with some joysticks and some tracking. I'm sure the headset is going to communicate directly with the controllers to improve the tracking. And the last point, maybe just to mention, is the PSVR 2. Although it will not be wireless, it will only have one cable to go and connect itself to the PlayStation, which is cool. The old PSVR 1, you had this guy, plus you had a cable. If I show you guys quickly, you had like these two junction cables that then would need to go plug into a VR box. So it's like a VR expansion box that would process the graphics and all the communication, and then you would have another cable going from that box to the PlayStation. So the new version would literally be headset and plugged directly into your PS5, and apparently it's probably going to be the Type-C connection in the front. Why? Because that Type-C connection can also do video. So that's at least that. I mean, it's not completely wireless like the Oculus Rift 2, but I'm glad to see that Sony is making a new version. Better graphics, better field of view, obviously better tracking, and it's just going to be one wire to connect inside. Let's see what the system can do to utilize the extra power on the PS5. So that's the PSVR 2 launch. What do you guys think? Leave some comments. Interesting news. Are you a VR player? Were you thinking about getting into VR and you probably just decided not to because you were waiting for maybe the next generation? Are you going to jump into the new PSVR 2? Leave some comments. Let's start a conversation. Two more things, guys. Next thing is rumors about a Switch Pro. Yes, Nintendo Switch Pro. So there was a report that a new Switch Pro will start production in the summer of 2021. But again, we don't have an official date. So it's crazy. It's already been 4 years. So on the 4-year anniversary of the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo announced that it will have a Pro, and it looks like that new Pro version is going to come still with a 7-inch Samsung, but the biggest difference, it's going to be an OLED screen. Yes, an OLED screen versus the current system has an LCD. That makes a huge difference. The only thing is apparently that 7-inch OLED screen on the Switch Pro is still going to be 720p. It won't be 1080p or 4K. What do you guys think? Does that really bother you? Personally, on a 7-inch screen, you can't really tell the difference between 720 or 1080p, or even, let's say, 4K. 4K, maybe, yeah, definitely you could probably tell the difference. But keep in mind, guys, that they can't increase the resolution that much. Because one, if they do, it's going to eat up into the battery life. And these systems have thrived on being completely wireless and on the go. So if you start to stick let's say a 1080p, which is possible, or let's say a 4K screen on a 7-inch display, the battery life is going to get killed. So that's the rumor. It looks like it's going to be a Samsung 7-inch OLED. Already switching just from a low OLED is game changer to have those beautiful contrasts. I'm sure it's going to be HDR capable as well. And apparently it's supposed to support as well 4K in docked mode. So right now, the current Switch is using what's called the Tegra NVIDIA chip. So it's a Tegra GPU, which is not bad. It's a little bit outdated. It could probably do 1080p docked, 720 on the screen, and maybe use DLSR, which is DRS, which is dynamic resolution scaling based on the game. But that should be really interesting to see. What I think the Switch is going to do, the new one, the Switch Pro, since it's part of the NVIDIA ecosystem, it's going to probably use NVIDIA's DLSS, so Deep Learning Super Sampling, which is an amazing tool that NVIDIA has come out with. I think they're going to make it available to the Switch Pro for developers to use to not be as costly if they want to run 4K games. They would probably use some DLSS to super sample those games, which will be less costly to the system. So let's see what happens. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to the next Switch Pro. I did a video in my channel explaining why I switched, why I did not buy the Switch. I'm currently a Wii U owner, and why I did not upgrade to the Switch. There was a couple reasons. I just felt there wasn't enough games, because there was too many games that were ported from the Wii. So I'm really excited about the Switch Pro. Let's see what happens. I'm thinking probably a 2022 launch. And to finish, guys, last point I want to talk about today is, yes, AMD has finally come out with FidelityFX. So AMD's FidelityFX is its version of NVIDIA's DLSS. So it's its way of competing against NVIDIA's DLSS. And again, it uses AI, so artificial intelligence, to help scale down games. So it's pretty much an easy way to say it is, it's like watching a game in 4K, but the game is really being displayed in 1080p. So it uses some types of, obviously, some type of programming, some types of tools to be able to upscale those games. They look 4K in our eyes, but really on the console itself, it's running at like 1080p. So it's not as costly on GPU or on CPU. So that's really interesting. The only thing is that FidelityFX will launch on all platforms globally at the same time. So although, yes, they've announced it, we don't know when it's going to actually come. But FidelityFX will be available on the PS5. FidelityFX from AMD will be available as well on the Xbox and across its GPUs on PC. So that's insane. I mean, this console generation is just getting more and more interesting with all this new tech coming out. So that's it, guys, for today. Like, subscribe, leave some comments, share this video, and, let's start a conversation, guys, if, about all these major topics. I'm going to be doing these videos on a weekly basis, taking all the news from the week on gaming, on PC, on consoles, and just, making it nice and concise for you guys. So that's it. As always, guys, have yourself a great day, have yourself a great night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.